welcome to a book obsession. I'm Ashley Gunn. This book review is going to be on the Silent series by Natasha Preston. Before we get started, I want to make sure that everybody knows that this series is about a woman who's the victim of a pedophile. And I just want you guys to know, because it's a tough book. This series is a very difficult series, especially because for anyone who reads horror or gore, it means something different when a child's the victim. And it was a very well-written series, but that subject is a very hard subject. Natasha took it and did an amazing job with it. The way that she respected the characters. The first thing that I was so afraid of was that she was going to get descriptive, because, I just couldn't imagine reading it in any more detail. The way that she does this is essentially Oakley, which is the victim, you're going to be in her thoughts a lot, and you're going to find out pretty much everything that has happened up until this point. She's going to start a relationship with her best friend, Cole. Because Natasha's not graphic about everything that happens with the pedophile, she's not graphic with the stuff that happens with Cole. And I gotta tell you, I've never been so thankful for anything in my entire life. So you are going to get a very clear image of what happened, but not to the point where you have to shut the book. So this series is going to evolve around a woman named Oakley. And I'm going to call her a woman because she deserves to be called a woman. She was unfortunately started being groomed for a pedophile at 5. And at that point, she stopped speaking. So at this point, when the book starts, she's 15, almost 16, 1 month from being 16. And she has not spoken since she was 5 years old. Her mother and father are out of their minds about it. Take her to get all this help. And everything looks like it's a perfect little family. So no one knows why Oakley wouldn't speak. Oakley has this amazing friend, Cole, who has known her since she was a child and even before she stopped speaking. So they have this bond, and at this point where the book starts is where Cole has decided that he wants a relationship past friendship with Oakley. Now this relationship is considered a little wrong because at the time Cole's 17 and Oakley's just about to turn 16. Just so we're clear, Cole has no idea what has happened to Oakley to make her stop speaking or any of that stuff. It's weird to be in Oakley's head because, first of all, she is really afraid that her mother and brother will hate her, not like her. Just like so many other books where it involves a rape victim, the way that she feels like it's ruined her, that she's dirty and unclean and that there's something, she's damaged. So when she starts this relationship with Cole, it's almost more guilt. And then basically what happens is that a situation arises where the pedophile is going to want to be with her again. Oakley thought it was all over, thought she was too old, and that this guy had lost interest, and unfortunately he comes back. There's one giant twist with this whole thing that if you read the book, it's just going to make you so much more angry. It really does. Anyways, so when this guy comes back after Oakley actually calls Cole, uses her voice, and tells him that she needs help. And that's how everything gets broken wide open. Cole takes Oakley directly to the police department and has her tell the police. And then from there, you're just going to go on to basically her family trying to adjust because her mother had no idea what was going on. And it's going to completely throw her. I mean, how much guilt could a mother have when you find out that not only has your child been raped, but she's been raped repeatedly for years? How do you live with that? So that is the first book, and instead of doing a whole second video, what I'm going to do here is just give you guys the opportunity to turn it off if you don't want to know about the second book. Stay here if you want to know about it, and we'll get into that one right now. The second book is The Trial, and it's Oakley confronting her father and Frank. So her father was obviously the one who encouraged this relationship, and then Frank is the guy who actually raped her. This book takes place 4 years after the last book, so 4 years after she went to Australia. Now she's going to go back to her hometown to confront her father in court, so she's going to also have to confront Cole because their relationship is non-existent at this point. She found it too hard to continue any kind of relationship because Cole would beg her to either come back or for him to go there, and it just got too hard for her. The great thing in this book is Oakley has been going to therapy and figuring out, it's not her fault. She does still struggle with some of those feelings, but she for the most part knows who to blame and targets her anger there. The trial is an extremely hard situation for me personally because I felt like it was so easy for him to manipulate the court, the father. It was so easy for him to manipulate his friends and his family, his wife, for him to keep this facade going, and when he's at court for him to be able to blame his child for, you know, she's mentally unstable and make her seem like she's the one off. I think that the one thing I would have changed in the book is that because the father is the adult and has this idea that, you know, his daughter's just mentally ill, I would have liked to see maybe the court ask a psychiatrist to meet with her, or interview her psychiatrist because she is in therapy. Something along those lines. That's just the way my head ticks. That's nothing to do with the book specifically, or I don't even know how these court cases really do work. The biggest issue I have with this book, and this is just me, is that I wish that Oakley and Cole would have gotten married and we would have been at their wedding, because I felt like after everything they went through, I would have just loved to read about her perfect day, her happily ever after. That's just my opinion, and I know that I'm a sappy person, so that's probably why I think that way. The book does end giving Oakley and Cole this future together, this promise of a better life after this really bad childhood, and I think that that was great that Natasha Preston did that. Anyways, this series is one of those where I can't say that I would ever read anything like it again, because quite frankly, reading about a pedophile was really hard for me, and reading this in itself just, it made me angry at, like, civilization, at human beings, at the fact that this exists. And I know that it's meant to do that. I know that it's a topic that is meant to incite that rage in you so that you don't allow that kind of behavior to happen. But it's really hard to read. That's all I'm saying. I think Natasha Preston wrote a very good series. I just don't know that I would pick up another series knowing that it was on this subject, and that's just because of my preferences. I mean, it's such a hard subject. Anyways, I hope that I did this series some kind of justice and got the message that Natasha wrote the series very well, but the subject matter is where I have a hard time with it. And I don't want that to reflect on the writing itself, because those are two different things. Real quick before we go, I just want to let you guys know that I'll be going on vacation, so my videos will upload as normal, but my emails and comments, it's going to take me a little while to get back to those. I will for sure be back to everybody by next week. I hope you guys all have a great weekend, and I will see you again shortly.